I said, I'm speaking nerdy. I'm speaking nerdy. I'm going to go around. I'm speaking nerdy. This is my town. Everybody speaking nerdy all around. We talk DC, Marvel, Star Trek 2, sometimes even Doctor Who. Oh, hey, hey, Ricky. How you? Hey there, Ricky. Sorry. I
Um,
was,
um,
yeah, I
that
was,
that was
I was,
special.
I was writing something, uh, word to your mother. Yeah.
Rob Moore says, "Ooh, hold music."
Yes, I knew hold music. Yes, thank you. Uh, so
Uh,
anyway, I'm
was that your new? Is that a new career track you're trying out?
I'm trying to I'm attempting to have an album.
You're
Actually, it's
attempting
an
to have an album.
actually an 8 track. It's the only thing I can afford right now. Uh, they said that would be. I showed it to the producers. They said 8 track would be better for the kind of music I do. I'm not for sure what they mean. And I told them, I said, well, there's not a
Okay.
whole lot of 8 tracks out there anymore. And they said exactly. So I'm a little confused.
Maybe you're that Michael variant.
Oh, not my. Oh, that's right. Well, I am in Southern Command, and the other one
The
is.
Northern Command Michael is busy.
Do you want me to do another rap?
No. It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Silly.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe.
I
Wow.
didn't even give you a chance to reply that time.
No, I know. That's okay. I figured we had to cut into it somehow. So, we had like 3 people watching the intro countdown. And then the show
And
starts
now we
at
have nothing.
0.
Nobody.
I don't
That's all
know if
right.
that says anything.
People
or
will
not.
join us. People
Will they
will
join
join
us?
us later.
Okay, good.
Eventually.
Yeah, that's what we say. Well, maybe they're thinking, oh, okay, well, it's a countdown show. We're going to go ahead and watch something else. But it's okay. Nothing's wrong with that. We're going to have a big show. We're going to have a really, really big show.
Really big show.
And if you haven't watched the season finale of Loki, well, you want to hit that button? Okay, never mind.
What? What? Oh, that button. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
Sorry,
Tonight,
you said
that's
that
okay.
button, and I was like, "What button?"
Yeah, that was kind of that one was kind of dusty. We hadn't used that one in a while. But
Rob
yeah,
Moore says, "I'm here. I was here. I promise."
thank you, Bob, Rob. I'm glad Rob is here. At least somebody loves us. So so we had that warning. We're going to talk about the first episode. We're going to talk about the first season of Loki. And man, it was awesome. I saw the
It
last
really
episode,
was.
and in the beginning it was kind of slow for me. At the beginning, I didn't know how I felt about it, but man, it's awesome. But before we get into that, let's talk about the happenings of the week. Uh, I don't know what have you heard about Jeff Bezos? He's now rocketed up in the air. Have you heard about this?
Yes, I have. I saw his little spaceship.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
interesting.
it is interesting. His little spaceship. There's there's been a lot of comments about his little spaceship. Uh, so it kind of looks like something from Austin Powers. Uh, yeah, the Twitter folks. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we reached 100 subs. Yes,
Yeah, that's
on
awesome.
YouTube.
Uh,
Appreciate it, Dan.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so a lot of people are commenting about the shape in the anyway. About we're not, of course, we're not going to talk about it here because we're highbrow. We're not lowbrow. But
What does
I thought that was
Blue
interesting.
Origin even mean?
I don't know. I don't know what Blue Origin mean.
So now we've got a three-way space race, right?
Well,
We've got Virgin
that costs
Galactic.
extra, but yeah, we have one.
We have
And
Virgin Galactic,
yeah, that's kind of yeah. Go ahead.
and then we have SpaceX,
Yes.
and now we have Blue Origin.
Yeah, we have Blue Origin, we have Virgin, and we have Triple X. So that sounds like a whole different show.
No, SpaceX, not.
SpaceX. Sorry about that. I'm confused. Good times. Good times.
Speaking of things lately, have you seen the updates? The new, like, they're not exactly trailers, but the little interview clips with the Gunn on the Suicide Squad movies.
No, I have not.
It looks really good, and we do have confirmation. TDK
Yes.
is going to have his arms pop off.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I read.
So he is officially arm fall off boy.
When we were talking about that early, and we were talking about how all these people, use cash, and then we're probably going to have like a ton of people die in the beginning. There was an article in IGN that I read the other day, and they mentioned the Private Ryan of Suicide Squad, and so apparently in the beginning, we might have some. We might kind of trim it down to the Suicide Squad team. So
I will say this.
Yeah.
A quick look at the things I just watched recently.
Yeah.
It really looks like Polka Dot Man may make the cut.
That's scary. I thought he would be the one that would have been wiped out in the beginning of the whole thing.
Dan Leckie gave me the explanation. Blue Origin is obviously the spacecraft originates from the blue planet Earth. Pretty self-explanatory. I buy that. Blue Origin. I could buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad somebody's intelligent enough to tell us these things, because we don't have a clue.
Oh, so the other thing, because I'm a movie nerd, movie making nerd, if you guys are interested in more of that kind of stuff, specifically on Suicide Squad, red cameras are what they made the movie with.
Oh,
all
really?
The cameras, it was all shot on red, and they specifically say there were things they were able to do with this movie because the red cameras are so small now that they would not have been able to do with the larger cameras. So they said there's a lot more up close stuff, a lot more work like that. So it's worth a watch if you're into movie making kind of stuff. You can, if you just look up Red Camera and Suicide Squad, I'm sure you'll find those videos. It's really interesting.
Another happening in the week I came across. Actually, Netflix is now going to get into the mobile gaming business.
Is this going to be like Stadia? Are you familiar with Stadia?
Yeah, I think from my understanding of the reading that there's going to be they're going to be more towards mobile apps, but I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure how that's going to be carried through, how they're going to deliver that. But it's supposed to be part of your Netflix membership. It doesn't cost extra, from my understanding. So with that in mind, it would be interesting how Netflix will continue in that, and if they decide later on to do something like what you talked about, if they're going to do any cloud streaming of gaming. But I thought it was interesting. I was reading that they lost a ton of subscribers, and I wish I had the numbers with me, because I was looking at that a minute ago, and it was.
I could absolutely see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the numbers went up, during the height of the pandemic, and but yeah, I mean, right now, there's no real details on the kind of mobile gamings they're going to do, but anyway, it'll be interesting. They're going that direction, and then if that's not enough, Valve, who from Steam, they've got a new Steam Deck, and that's the name of it.
Ooh.
And Valve, if you're a gamer, that they ventured in a lot of different things, and unfortunately, each thing they did fell through. And so,
kind of like us.
Exactly. So anyway, you can check that out online. But anyway, that's all I have the happenings of the week. But I think if you want, we can do some stupid news.
All right, let's
do
that. as soon as I find the video.
Well, I mean, we don't have to. If you
It's the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. I was over on the comment side, and when I clicked back, I couldn't find it.
That didn't work, did it?
So, all right.
Oh, Ricky.
What do you got? What do you got? Well, stupid news. Stupid
question. What do you like on your pizza? When you
what
order
do I like
pizza,
on my pizza?
What do you like?
I really enjoy Canadian bacon and mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
And, pepperonis are fine.
It's fine,
but I prefer Canadian bacon and mushroom.
Well, I mean, you've heard about the whole saying, the saying to eat like a king, right?
Yeah.
It's
Is that
have you ever heard?
Is that like eating really fatty and eating a whole lot?
Something like that. I mean, so
okay.
I mean, have you ever wanted to eat like a Florida man?
I've never considered that. What does eating like a Florida man mean?
Well, I'm glad you asked me. Well, how about the Florida Man pizza? The Florida Man pizza at the world famous Tiki Bar in Fort Myers Beach, Florida. The strange concoction is made with their homemade special trailer sauce.
Special trailer sauce.
Yes.
What makes it trailer sauce, or do I want to know?
That's a secret. And it's topped with fried gator.
Okay, now I could see that. That's interesting. Fried gator. That would make sense for Florida. Okay.
Exactly.
That could work in Louisiana too.
Yeah, so as one Twitter follower posted, someone just alerted me to the existence of the Florida Man pizza. I am both intrigued and scared to ask what's in the special trailer sauce. The pizza was added to the menu in March and has quickly become the Tiki's Bar's best-selling, Mr. Riley said, who's the owner of the Tiki Bar. And a little right there. And
that doesn't look bad.
No, it doesn't look bad at all. It's a kind of
now,
a concept.
That trailer sauce. Now put that picture back up there real quick.
Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. That doesn't look like a red sauce.
No,
that looks like a white sauce.
Yes.
Which probably goes better with the gator, since the gator is more of the consistency of chicken.
And it's like, it tastes like chicken.
I could see that. Because I mean, one of my other things that I like is like an Alfredo pizza with chicken and bacon.
Well, yeah, I mean, that sounds like, Well, I mean, I would think it tastes like chicken. So anyway, if you ever want they did ask, is there ever going to be a Florida-themed drink to go with it? And Mr. Riley says, we're going to come up with one, but not right now. So,
we will have a Florida Man drink at some point.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. Yeah,
we will have to have. We'll have to have Todd Vesey try this out.
Yes, we will. I even kind of see him in the green room, just kind of shaking his head. So, So this.
Rob Moore says that looks delicious.
Now, folks, and I'm going to ask you, Ricky, what would you say to be the formal way of letting your employer know that you're leaving? I mean, what would be the things that you would do if you know that you were going to leave?
Well, like the polite thing would be to send an email or a hand, or not a handwritten, but a typed letter that's signed and printed. I've done that. Hand it in and offer 2 weeks usually. I mean, in extreme cases, you could just stand up and say, "Hey, I'm out of here."
I mean, you could do that.
You could do that.
I mean,
what other options do you have in mind?
Well, apparently, this group, a staff at the Burger King in Lincoln, Nebraska, finally had it their way when they walked off the job.
Wait, they had it their way. Is this a Burger King?
Yes, this is the Burger King. To add to insult to injury, the staffers made an announcement on a marquee under the Burger King sign. which usually used for promotions, saying, "We all quit. Sorry for the inconvenience."
I
Apparently,
read
yeah.
about this.
Have you
Like
read about
even the
that?
manager left, right?
Oh yeah, the manager left too. They
We
apparently
all quit.
yeah, all quit. Apparently, they had a really bad situation. The restaurant former general manager Rachel Flows, along with 8 other employees, had already given their 2 weeks notice, but they joked about letting the customers know about it, as a shot to the upper management. Well, they guess what? They follow through with the next day, and there they go. Flores explained that the store had gone through many district managers, and since she became the GM, she received no help whatsoever. The restaurant was allegedly understaffed, and people there felt like it was unsafe and inadequately staffed. Flores' boss, who found out about the sign after the fact, was fired on Saturday, the same day the marquee message was taken down. The
Imagine
location is
that.
the location is still open, even though the new employees have already left days after starting. So apparently they did have it their way. So
Oh my goodness. That's
and
funny though. That's funny.
isn't that
That's
something?
pretty good. The
That's pretty
marquee.
clever.
I quit on the marquee.
Well, on this other thing, I guess if I was a criminal, I would try running from the law. The first thing I would do is probably hide, change my
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah.
Get out of Dodge.
Get a
Well,
different
Tulsa,
vehicle. Yeah.
exactly. Well, apparently not in Tulsa,
Todd
Oklahoma.
asked if they had fries with that.
They probably did. They're probably one of the Gators. They did. Uh, but apparently in Tulsa it's different. Tulsa police posted a photo of Lorraine Graves on their weekly most wanted list on Facebook. Graves is wanted for accessory of murder.
Ooh.
Instead of making the officers work to track her down, Graves made things much easier by commenting on their Facebook post. The alleged criminal replied, "Where is the reward money?" Of course, people who also quick to comment, saying, one person saying, "You better stay off social media, they can track you," and the other one say, "It ain't gonna be funny when you get processed." Guess what? Detective arrested her the following day in North Tulsa, according to the police, and her bond is set at $500,000. So get
Oh my
that.
goodness.
On the next and the last one here, it's a Florida man. Yes, it is Florida man. And Ricky, you've heard, the Army of the Dead, Army Ants, the U.S.
Oh yeah,
Army,
yeah.
or even the Salvation Army,
Yep.
where a Florida man is awaiting trial after screaming obscenities and threatening to destroy everyone with an army of turtles.
What?
That's right, army of turtles. Lane was yelling
Army
out
of
obscenities,
turtles.
constantly calling himself the Saint. Following up with this, following
Army
up
of
saying
turtles.
following up with his turtle army, he said that will destroy them, and stating that would see this in an hour. Police say that in context
Turtles
it,
of the world, rise
that's
up.
right. Yeah, this is Thomas Lane, as you can tell. Those who are listening, you can't see, but Thomas Lane looks like he has some issues. And exactly, Turtle Man.
Turtle power.
Yeah, Ninja Turtle power.
Exactly.
Apparently, police there say they received 7 calls about a man disturbing the peace at 3 different locations. At some point, Lane even entered the police department and proceeded to yell at dispatchers while pounding on the walls and glass. He then left the building but called 911 while at 7-Eleven again and threatened the
Again?
dispatch officer again. Yes. The police report states that he told dispatcher over the phone that "I needed to leave or you will all be sorry if you F with the Saint." Yes, right. If you F with the Saint, he's going to send his massive army of turtles to you. Yes, Lane was later found in his car but refused to get out while yelling obscenities and screaming about his turtle army would destroy us. And that is stupid news.
This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Oh my goodness.
Army of turtles.
Army of turtles.
My gosh.
Army of turtles. Well, I'd like to introduce our man from Florida, the one and only Todd V, the Florida man himself. We'd like to welcome him to the show. There he is.
Hey,
Can we
Mr.
get
Todd.
on the wrap?
Yeah, there you're going to catch your hat on fire. Now that would be, we'll get our numbers up. Right? We'll get our numbers up then. Oh, that'd be awesome.
No doubt. We'd go viral on that one.
That's right. We could use that. Can we do some bodily harm?
We could, yes. Kind of, what's the name of that? Jack something show?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Jacked Up, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Daryl McCarty said he's here.
Hey,
he made
Daryl.
it.
Hey, Daryl. Thank you for making the show. Tonight we're going to talk about the entire season 1 of Loki, and mainly we're going to talk about the ending of Loki because it all ties in together. So, hey, let's hit that one more time, Mr. Ricky. That's right. So if you haven't seen Loki yet, the final episode, well, we're going to spill the beans and we're going to talk about how it affects the future of the MCU universe, what we thought about it, how it became, and just some of the nuggets that we gotten out of it. So here we go. Start with you, Mr. Ricky. What did you think about season 1 of Loki?
I really enjoyed it. There was definitely some weirdness and some strange things that went on, and I will once again admit I was wrong in that the big bad was exactly who he was supposed to be, even though I said it probably won't be because so far Marvel has failed.
Exactly.
They have hinted very strongly that the bad guy would always be exactly who it wasn't. Yep, and then this one, it was exactly who it was. Yep. So I definitely will fess up that I was wrong. It's an interesting idea, and it really changes. It changes so much.
Yes,
and how they could do things.
Yep.
Like there's even, I don't know how much we want to get into it right now. I'll give you just my first impression. That was my first impression.
Yeah,
I did really enjoy it. I thought the story was pretty good. There was some disjointed things that were just odd and weird, but you know, I liked the Florida man Loki version. You know, the Gator. The Gator Loki was kind of cute.
I think a lot of articles talked about he was the most popular Loki of them all. So
absolutely, absolutely.
I think it was pretty cool.
Have you seen the meme? It's a croc. It's a green croc shoe.
No,
you know what Crocs are? Yeah, it's a green croc shoe, and it's got the yellow horns on it. I was like, okay, yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Alligator Loki.
Yeah, Alligator Loki, which I like how they put their humor in that. And of course, it was a little bit of Peter Pan in that one scene where Alligator Loki bit off boat Loki hand off. So
yes,
that was pretty good.
I think my favorite part on that whole thing is, Alligator Loki shows up in an episode, and then I think it's either the next episode. How many episodes is he in? 2 or 3?
He's in 2.
2 episodes.
Yeah. So you barely see him in the last.
It's like the second episode before Loki goes, wait, you're telling me he's a Loki too?
Exactly.
Rather than just accepting the fact that he was a Loki at the beginning, he didn't think he was a Loki. He just thought it was a weird thing that these guys had a pet alligator with yellow horns on it.
So, Mr. Todd V, what do you think about that? Before we get into some deeper discussion, I just wanted your opinion, Mr. Todd.
Well, to build on Alligator Loki, there's a theory going around that now that they've introduced animal versions in the multiverse, that there will be other characters.
Hey, one has already shown up, technically.
Yeah.
Throg.
Throg
Yes.
exists in the Marvel
Yes.
universe.
He does.
Now
Yes.
he's in a jar,
We
buried
got
in the
there already.
ground, but he
Yes.
does exist. And to prove it's Throg, because it's so fast, just to prove it's Throg, there
Yeah.
is a label on the jar with a number on it. There it is. T365. That's related to Thor
Yes.
365, where
Yep.
Throg is introduced,
Yes.
Yep.
which
Yes.
is the Frog Thor. And there is like, I don't remember what it is. There is a Marvel Pet Avengers.
Yeah.
I think it's actually called Pet Avengers. I had to find it.
He was actually voiced by Chris Hemsworth. He actually voiced him.
Yes, Pet Avengers is a thing. It does exist in the
Yes.
Marvel universe. And now I guess they are part of the cinematic universe
Yeah,
too.
I mean, why not? Why not?
I would-
We have so many universes now. Let's throw one in.
I would pay money
Yes.
to see Throg in his
I
own
would
movie.
too. Well, they were saying that Chris Hemsworth actually voiced Throg. I don't remember. Was there a voice in that? Did someone
I don't know. Maybe he screamed or something, made
scream
some
or
kind of
something?
noise,
Yeah.
because it looked like he was trying to, get out of the
Yeah,
jar.
exactly.
So, is Throg is the whole universe frogs, or just
I
him?
don't know.
So
I don't know
That-
enough
that
about
Loki-
Throg to
Loki-
say.
I don't know. I just know. Now, one thing I liked about Dermot
Throg
Carvey
was
says
grunting.
Grunting.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was pretty cool, because a lot of times there's some really cool intros in the Marvel, in the Marvel shows, but this one was kind of cool because it kind of you had heard all these voices in the background. It was almost like it was giving a kind of like a quick synopsis of everything that was going on in the universe till then. You had a quick blast through the MCU universe. You had like Sam Wilson, Way to Go, Captain America: Civil War. A montage of Wakanda Forever. He's my friend from work. Just all kinds of little stuff like that. And I thought, man, how clever that is. And they even had like non superheroes, like you heard Neil Armstrong, Nelson Mandela, and other things. Just comment. So, and it's kind of interesting because almost they were kind of the timeline was happening. You had all these things are happening in this timeline, and then here you go, Loki show starts up, and man, it's really, I mean, it's pretty clever. And who would have thought? Everybody thought WandaVision was going to be this this huge intro to the multiverse. But
Yes.
this right here, you can't get anything as close as Loki when it has to do with the multiverse timeline.
Loki. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Loki. And I'll admit, I was struggling the first two shows. But they were setting up all the information that you needed to understand what was coming, but they didn't tell anybody they were doing that, so it seemed like it was just crawling. But then after that, now I'm going back constantly looking for the eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
And did you catch in the intro, like you were saying, there were two things. One was right at the end. You could hear Thor saying, "Where's Loki?" And he's fading back. So it's like the Avengers are fading away, and now the focus is on Loki. But the other thing was they have a time theorist. I can't remember his name, but he's got a quote that's in there that talks about that we perceive time in a linear way.
Yeah.
But Nexus event or Nexus creatures like Kang, they see time as like if you were looking at a film reel, as the whole film, all at the same time. Um, and so the theory of that is everything's happening at once, whereas we just see things like, in little tiny segments. Everything's
exactly.
once. And I was gonna say something in the last show I was on about a theory that I had, and I'm glad to find out later that I wasn't the only one thinking this, is that the MCU is in a loop.
Yeah.
That the multiverse war is in Kang's past, but it's in the MCU's future. And so we're coming back around. So the theory is that, that they're locked into this thing that keeps happening over and over and over and over again. But Loki is the key to break them out of it.
Yeah.
Because Loki, like in Norse mythology, he is a character of change.
Yeah. One thing
he himself changes. He's a shape changer. So
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I got off the tangent.
No, yeah, and exactly. No, you're right. And no, what's interesting there, you got a whole lot of things going on. You have Loki, who's trying to figure out who he is, who he wants to believe, who he wants to be.
Because this is a Loki that hasn't had the redemption arc that we saw over 10 years.
Exactly.
And of course, he saw what would happen if he went any further. And of course, they had all kinds of versions. They were showing him of Loki in this kind of a hologram. You had the bearded Loki, Viking Loki. Oh, even one that I really liked. I saved this one. I want to see if I can find this here, because this was my favorite Loki. Let's see which one this is. Yes, the Hulk Loki. That was my favorite
saw
one.
That.
Yeah. So anyway, Morbius was showing him all the Lokis that, that the different variant Lokis from different timelines. But really, if you come back to Loki, there's in this, there is a redemption story arc where he comes in, he's thinking about how he can take over the time variant authorities. But then he starts having a friendship with Morbius, and it's kind of weird, kind of rocky. Morbius kind of gives in. He kind of wants to help Loki redeem, but then you have this strange love story, which basically Loki loves himself. Hey, hi from Florida, from Amanda. What's that? Is it Courtney or Courtney? Courtney. Hello, Amanda Courtney.
Hello, Amanda.
Thank you for being a part of the show. And so you have all these things going on. You have Morbius, who's trying to eventually figure out, okay, wait a minute, Loki might be right. What is going on here? Is this for real? Is it not? Is this, my existence created by this group of, the group of these, of these time, I forget the name of the time
variant authority.
Yeah. So anyway, you got so much going on in this, and all of this, for me, the most interesting character is the man, he who remains, in out of this. And anyway, I'm going to let you go ahead and run with that.
So here's some thoughts. Here's some things that this has less to do with the Loki show, more to do with what this could all lead to.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Number one, now that we know it's not just a multiverse, there are divergent timelines. It's, this really weird, convoluted thing. That actually means that, because we've thrown around that things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. might not be canon anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of some things that have happened in the MCU.
Yeah.
But technically now it could be canon. It could just be, everything can be canon and just be a different timeline.
They can bring it back, and they can mix it up too.
Yes.
They can do crossovers.
So some really weird things they could do.
Yeah.
And this is, I haven't read this anywhere. It's just what I do know about the comics history of Kang,
Yeah.
and some things that we've already seen happen in the MCU. Hold on, let's see what's J. Robert Byam say. The biggest impactful sentence was Immortus saying he was keeping things in check. Haha, he said Immortus.
He
So
did.
every time, yeah, every time the good guys win through luck or empathy, that was Immortus. The good guys always win, more or less, thanks to Immortus. Now all bets are off. Okay, so he used the term Immortus, and Immortus is a version of Kang.
Yeah.
So also, there's an ancient Egyptian version of Kang called Rama Tut.
Yeah.
Rama Tut birthed the first mutant, which, you know, we've seen a version of that in the Fox series of the X-Men. So Kang could bring the mutants in if he's going to be Rama Tut, if they want to do it that way.
Yeah.
There's Immortus. Now, you mentioned the He Who Remains.
Yeah.
And in the comics, Kang is not He Who Remains. It's a different character, different person. They're unrelated. But because MCU does things like this, if they say He Who Remains is actually Kang, they could have a different villain in every MCU movie coming up and say it's Kang.
Oh, exactly.
But have a different character, a different actor. Every movie could have its own special version of Kang that isn't even played by the same person.
Oh, exactly.
If they want to go there.
I heard that I don't know, I haven't had a chance to dig into this, but I heard that there are 18 villains in the pipe.
I could see that. I mean, there's plenty of movies.
Yeah.
So how many of those villains are going to turn out to be Kang, a version of Kang without the name?
Right. And interestingly, Reed Richards' father, who time traveled into the future.
Yeah.
Ricky, do you know he is actually a version of Kang? In the comic series?
I don't remember if that is comic canon. I know that Nathaniel Richards is traditionally Kang.
Yes.
But who Nathaniel Richards really is a little bit of a mystery as far as the canon goes, as far as what I'm aware of. There's suggestion that he is a descendant of Reed Richards at some point.
Yeah.
But that's, as far as I know, that's never been confirmed. It's just assumed.
And Dr. Doom's in the family tree somehow.
Yeah, there's so much weirdness there. And now that Kang exists, and knowing that Kang exists as multiple people through the comic canon, we could see all sorts of weird messed up stuff.
The thing is, the TVA in this timeline by Kang, who overseen it.
Yeah.
Now I can kind of understand why it's set up, because it was to keep from what was happening, what ended up happening with Sylvia killing that variant of Kang, and he tried to explain that to Loki and Sylvia, right?
Yeah, Sylvie.
Okay, Sylvie, and of course, in that situation, she was so geared up to kill him, but she wasn't listening to the situation. I mean, basically, he's saying, if you kill me, you know, I'm the best option you have. The rest of these people, you know, there's some a lot worse variants.
And Loki realized that.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, you're better off with the devil you know than the millions of devils you don't.
Exactly. J. Robert, I can't read that.
Byam. TVA equals canon police gatekeepers. Totally.
Yeah. Totally,
yeah. Pretty much.
Totally.
Except now, how are they going to fit in? Because they're not really. Are they going to keep going?
Well, I mean, in the end of it, when Loki, after after Kang, that variant was killed, Loki came back, and they didn't know who he was.
Right.
Morbius,
Yes.
and I think it was Hunter
Hunter 15. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know who he.
They
I
don't.
mean,
But
what
earlier
he.
we saw Ravina
Yeah,
leave completely. So does she know what's going on still?
You remember the file that Miss Minute gave her?
Yeah,
yeah, yes,
I think that was from Kang the Conqueror,
I think so.
and
I
I think
mean,
that's who she left to go find.
Well, and traditionally in the comics, she and Kang have had an on again, off
yeah,
again love affair thing.
And
So that's, except in the comics, she wasn't some high school teacher become TVA leader.
oh, she was a
She was a
yeah.
princess from
Well,
from the
Yeah.
future, and later an assassin and all these things. So the
yeah,
TVA didn't play into it much, but I think Ravina is probably going to be a recurring character at some point.
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Miss Minute. I was reading. Miss Minute was actually in the mastermind. If you think about it, the whole time Miss Minute was acting like she was your best friend, but the whole time she was doing the work of He Who Remains, and
She actually knew who he was.
she actually knew who he asked exactly. So,
Can I ask
uh, yeah, of course, what you see in the very end when they actually go into the well, I prefer it to the castle, and yeah. And so anyway, that was really interesting how that all played out, and you know, for me, it's what's interesting about it is again is the story arc and how the story arc is going to play out because Sylvie, it's really hard to find out how she really felt about Loki. I think she did have some romantic feelings towards her, but she used him in a way. I think there was I think she was conflicted emotionally, but at the end, she killed him and she sent Loki back to the TVA. And what I think interesting about that, how is that going to carry on to season 2? Is it going to make Loki? I don't know. Is it going to make Loki kind of cold? Is it going to make him, or is he going to still?
I think he's terrified.
You think so?
He was looking at that big statue of Kang the Conqueror, which is in place of the TVA now.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is he even in the same timeline, same universe? Is he in a different universe now? Because they don't know.
When you got back, the first thing you saw the timelines on their, they had their screen where they show the timelines to see if they're all, moving in the right direction. And all suddenly, man, they're just branching out like crazy. And you're seeing all the agents, all the TVA agents running like crazy because the timeline, I mean, they had to go everywhere. So the TVA still, I believe, are trying to reel in the timeline, but I think it's going to be to the point where it's going to be out of their control. And in that statue of He Remains or Kang, what version is that statue of him? I mean, who is that?
I think that's King the Conqueror.
King the Conqueror.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So talking about whether it's the same or a different timeline.
Yeah.
Here's something that's kind of weird, and it's barely a moment.
Yeah.
But IMDb does confirm it. I heard it from somebody in a video, and I was like, "Is that real, or are you just making crap up?" But IMDb confirms it. So Casey, he was kind of the desk clerk guy.
Yeah.
You remember? So Casey is actually in the final episode, dressed as a soldier, running behind Loki. And it is confirmed he is Hunter K5E
in the credits.
So he went from a desk clerk to a hunter all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's a whole different person. So this is interesting. Robert Byam said, I think the What If series is what happens when Immortus isn't nudging the canon to the sacred timeline. super excited for that show. I am super excited about it as well. I've been super hyped about this all along. And now that we have such a jacked up timeline, what if technically could be canon? Which is weird.
I think that timing. I don't think the timing was a coincidence. I think What If is going to be part of that multiverse, and I guarantee you they're going to be, because like again, now they can do whatever they want to do. They can tell all kinds of stories.
Right.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
Robert made a comment that he's exactly right. The statue in the comic is actually an accurate Kang outfit for Kang the Conqueror. The other thing too is, when Morbius and the Hunter are talking, she asks him, "Does he want us to let them deviate?" So they clearly know they're working for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where before they thought they were working for the lizards.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
Yes.
Also, there were originally 4 lizards. Four of the timekeepers, and one of them betrayed the other 3 to tell the Fantastic Four what Kang was up to.
Yeah.
And his statue was destroyed in the Citadel.
Well, and speaking of Fantastic Four, we've already mentioned since Kang is supposedly a Nathaniel Reed in the comics, it is possible that he is going to be the reason we have the Fantastic Four, and they will at least tie in one of the Kang variants as being a descendant of Reed Richards and have a decent reason to bring him into existence and the Fantastic Four. There's just, it literally cracks open, like you said, Michael. They can literally do anything they want and say it's canon now.
Well, I think they've got the ability to totally surpass the Infinity War.
Well, let's look at the end. Where, you have all the variants. Okay, you have the Kid Loki, and the Kid Loki, he killed Thor. Okay, and then you have the Boastful, who says that he ended up getting killed Thanos, and he has the Infinity Stones. He's the Boastful. But there's so. I mean, you can do something on each one. Even the classic Loki, I thought was pretty cool, and I forget the name of the actor.
Richard Grant.
Richard Grant.
Yeah, his costume is great, except he kind of looks like he's wearing a yellow Depends.
Yes, I know.
Adult diaper.
I think so too. He actually wanted. He also made a pitch to Marvel about doing a series on the older Loki with the classic look and everything. I wonder if that, but they can do this if they want.
Oh,
they
yeah,
can
absolutely.
do these series of these different Lokis. I mean, think about it. The Kid Loki, he basically killed Thor.
Kid Loki could fit, if you have a little bit of a redemption arc for Kid Loki, he could fit in well with the Young Avengers, or could be an antagonist for a Young Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To fit in with that. Exactly. Yeah. Let's see here.
Talking about Richard Grant.
Yeah, Richard Grant here, legendary actor from what's that? Withnail? I can't.
Yeah, Withnail and I.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless, and so I don't know. Todd, what do you think? What comes in your mind when you think about all the possibilities and maybe some directions they may take it? Some areas that they haven't even talked about that you think that might be a good progression to go towards.
Well, I think they're sitting on top of a gold mine at the moment. I made the comment earlier about I think that they could outdo Infinity War, because I think that because. Secret Wars.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be a part of where they're going.
Exactly.
I think Secret Wars will probably be the culmination of whatever this is at this point. But where is that going to fall? Is that going to be? Are we talking about? Are we going to have a Phase 4 finale, or are we going to have a Phase 5 finale? or are we going to have to hold out for 10 years and have a Phase 6 finale? I don't know.
Well, one
I
thing.
mean,
It looks like Robert is leaving us because it's 2 a.m. there. Hey,
oh,
Robert, we
man, thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
our
you.
European viewers. We have more than you would expect.
Yeah, we're grateful for you guys. Thank you for staying up and watching us, and helping us out. That's the big
yes,
thing. You guys
indeed.
are really helping us out. So, oh, thank you, Rob. That's our friend from New Zealand, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So,
Yep.
yeah, Rob, man, you guys are awesome. Thank you for staying up with us. Yeah, and we're gonna have a season 2. I mean, at the very end, the Loki will be back on season 2. So, man, what are your guess on season 2? Now we're just playing the make believe game, and I mean we know a little bit, we know all about a little bit, but I mean, here's Loki. He's now in a universe where no one knows who he is. I mean, he's a mere mortal now. He's basically seen with no powers. He's seen, not as a god in mischief. He is actually. They thought he was an analyst. So I mean,
I think here is my prediction. My prediction is that the MCU as a whole is going to ignore the TVA.
yeah,
Okay? This is my prediction. We will have Kangs, maybe,
Yeah.
but the MCU as a whole will probably ignore the TVA for the most part.
so basically they're going to be Shield.
Maybe till the end,
Yeah,
where they become more prominent.
yeah,
But the TVA will be the focus of Loki season 2.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Exactly.
they'll hold that off. I don't think they'll explore it. I don't think we'll hear more about it. It will be in passing if
Yeah,
it
I agree
is.
with that.
Somebody like Doctor Strange is going to say something about, well,
Mention it,
the
yeah.
TVA usually deals with stuff like this, but you and I have to do it. Or that could be No Way Home. The TV for
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange says, usually the TVA handles things like this, but they're not around today. So, Peter, you have to deal with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Here you go.
But I don't think we're going to really see much of that. Like, I don't think we'll see Renslayer in somebody else's movie for a long time. I think they'll focus on the TVA for season 2.
What do you think? Which members of the cast do you think is going to return, or at least characters going to return? I mean,
They've
I've heard
got to put Miss Minutes back in again because she was polling as the most popular character.
that was voiced by Tara Strong. So,
What'd you think of the jump scare?
yeah,
Okay, so everybody talked about the jump scare, and I was watching it, and I didn't notice.
Oh,
Like,
I
it
know.
didn't bother me at all. It did not even faze me. I don't know why. I don't know if it was how I was watching it. I don't know if I looked away, but everybody was like, "Oh, the jump scare was so weird. It's so out of character for Marvel." And I was like, "What jump scare?" Like, I had to go back and watch it again and I went, "Eh."
My wife went, "Dear God."
Rob Moore. Okay, I'm with Ricky. Didn't notice the jump scare either. So, I'm not the only one that completely missed that this was supposed to be a jump scare. It was just a cut to Miss Minutes. I'm like, okay, she's not a beast. She's not a drooling animal with fangs or anything. She's not Crocodile Loki.
But grant me this, okay? I don't watch those kind of movies. Okay, so the jump
Yeah.
scare was very effective for me
that-
because I'm not exposed to them.
That may be it. I'm a big fan of things like Criminal Minds, and there's often a jump scare in those episodes. So maybe I'm just a little desensitized to jump scares. I don't know, but I totally missed the whole thing.
Now, do we, as one of the characters, Sylvie, do we think she's going to be back on? Do you think she will?
She
return
said
to
she's
season
not
2?
coming back.
Well, see,
She
I
did?
saw.
The actress did, yeah.
Well, see, I was reading an article
They
with.
need to give her
with
more money.
well, I read an article with Variety where they're asking her how she felt about it and asked about, Sylvia's part in the second season, and she commented about it. So, yeah, I mean, I read somewhere too that she wasn't going to come back, but then a recent article, she was being interviewed where she made it sound like she was going to come back. She didn't say anything definite, but she made it talk about she was
Maybe
talking it. I don't know.
maybe they're
But I,
maybe they're talking to her, trying to convince her to come back.
yeah, I mean, Todd, I remember that article too. That
I
you were
think she
talking
had other
about.
stuff going on was the issue,
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly.
I think she needs to come back because that relationship she's having with Loki is important.
Rob Moore. He said, "Okay, just watch the jump scare scene again on YouTube." Nope, it was just a hologram appearing.
See, I'm the same way. It just did not faze me at all.
I'm a lightweight.
And Daryl McCarty said, "I missed it too." So you're not alone on that
man.
deal.
Well, I had not heard that that the actress that played Sylvie was not planning on returning. I as much as I kind of liked her, I think she's a good actress. I really enjoyed the character. I don't think she's necessary
No,
at this point.
No, I don't think so either.
Her story arc kind of ended.
Yeah.
Her goal was to kill the timekeepers.
Yeah.
That was her. She's a little, at this point, if they do bring her back, she becomes the Hiddleston Loki going, what's my purpose now?
Exactly.
She's Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride.
Exactly.
I've been in the revenge business for so long. Now I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, well, anyway, I was just going to say, I feel like her story arc has ended. She could definitely come back, but I don't know where they're going to take her. Hiddleston's Loki came back and still wants to fix things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, from
So he
Deadline,
still
it's
has a
that- yeah.
storyline.
See, from Deadline, Kate Herron says she's not returning for season 2. That was 5 days ago.
Deadline is pretty reliable.
Now,
But that doesn't mean she hasn't changed her mind because of
an hour ago, the direct.
Right.
Yeah.
money
the
changes a
theory?
lot of people's
It
minds.
does. It does.
Now, do you have anything? I can't. The direct. Have you ever looked at the direct a lot? Is it legit or not?
The
Sometimes
direct,
there's-
I'm not familiar with the direct.
Yeah.
I rely mostly on Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, and oh crud, there's another one. Screen Rant is reliable
Screen
for the
Rant
most
is pretty
part,
good.
but honestly, most of the time, Screen Rant is getting their information from Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter, or the third one that I'm trying to think of right now. But
Well, they were
talking about
saying-
people that are coming back, I'm sure Hunter B15 is
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
I'm sure Owen Wilson will be back.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. He's in it at the end. So yeah.
Right. But I think my guess is Renslayer Ravonna will be a big player in the future.
Yeah, I think so too.
And if they play it right, she could actually be the villain for the next season.
Well, it was funny. Sophie Di Martino, who played Sylvie in Loki, she revealed that she only got confirmation of the second season by watching the final end tag. So that's how she found out about it having a season.
Well,
2.
maybe that's why she said she's not going to be in season 2.
Didn't even get a pink slip.
Oopsie.
Yeah, so she's in the dark about Loki season 2, just like fans are. So I mean,
Speaking of Sylvie,
Hmm?
speaking of Sylvie, you remember when Ravonna she went through the door saying she was going in search of free will. So there's a thing going around about did Sylvie really make the choice to kill Kang? Or did Kang nudge her into doing that because he wants the Conqueror Kang? He wants to become the Conqueror Kang.
Well,
I mean, there are
up to
so
a
many
point,
convoluted.
he knew he had the whole thing on pages. He knew the whole story, up to a point, and then all of a sudden he says, "I don't know what happened after this." But does he? I mean, is that true? Did he not know what's going to happen after that?
Or did, like you were alluding to, Todd, is it he may not have known, but did he coax her into it?
Yeah, did he sit each other?
Yeah, so determinism has been versus free will has been a part of this show since episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't free will and I think that's Free Willy, but good call, Rob Moore. Nice,
well done.
Appreciate that. But definitely, determinism versus free will has definitely been a huge part of this show, and when I have discussed it on a couple other podcasts, it was earlier on, before this last episode, the last 2 episodes, I guess, because before the last 2 episodes, it really hard sold determinism as being the thing.
Yeah.
That everything is determined. It has to be this one way. There is no real free will. But then in the last 2 episodes, they kind of open up the door for, well, maybe there might be free will, and this is just not. So far, you haven't had it.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. It's super philosophical. I mean, it's a whole different level of nerdy that we don't usually get into. But yeah, the whole determinism
and free will.
The whole predestination, determinism. Predestination tends to be the Christian version of determinism. Determinism tends to be the secular word to use for it. But I had somebody tell me a couple other words that they would use, but it basically all come down to the same words, just different philosophers using the term. But yeah, free will being the question mark.
But why is Loki the only one who realizes from what? I mean, Loki is the constant. Nothing's changed about him. His self-awareness is there.
So that is an interesting question, and I only have one vague explanation, and it has to do with, and I don't remember if this is an MCU idea or if this is a Doctor Who idea or this is some other idea I heard from some other science fiction, but it's basically the idea of, I remember because I was there at the moment things changed. Mm-hmm. And no one else remembers because they were outside the moment.
Right.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a Marvel thing. I feel like that's actually something that I picked up from the House of M series from Marvel. I could be wrong, but there's some of that going on there. It's like in House of M, nobody remembers, but all of a sudden Wolverine realizes, wait, this life I'm living is not the life I have lived. Something changed.
Yeah.
So that may not be the right fit either. But
the way I heard it was Loki's on the outside.
Okay.
It's what you're saying, but he's on the outside of
the timeline. The outside looking in.
Yeah. It depends on how you determine what the bubble is.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like the Infinity Stones don't work in the timelines that they're not linked.
Yeah. So since he wasn't attached to the time, since he showed up in a new timeline, they don't know what's going on,
Right.
but he does.
Do you think it has anything to do where he was, he was in the presence of Kong, which is Kang? I mean, not Kong, Kang, and
Kong is king.
Kong is king.
Or are we talking Khan
But-
from Star Trek?
Oh no, I'm so confused now.
Oh,
say
well,
midichlorians.
you know what we have
So,
to do. You know what you have to do now.
We just increased
Oh,
let's increase the population of whales. Thank you. And we
You
just
said
lots of
you
viewers
said
because
Star
of that.
Trek. You said Star Trek, so I had to play the whale
I
sound.
know.
oh.
So, but no,
I
in the
just
presence,
noticed the Enterprise in that
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, yes.
Now.
but Kang he was in the presence, and Kang was kind of, it was kind of the bubble outside the timeline.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say, you've got this bubble. You just have to decide, is it that if you're inside the bubble, you understand it, or if you're outside the bubble, you understand it.
Yeah.
And then you have to go, okay, was Kang inside or outside? And, either way, it's irrelevant. It's the same. It's the same point.
Yeah,
It's just where you decide the bubble is.
Yeah.
Speaking of bubbles, did you see
Tiny bubbles. Sorry.
did you see the thing where in Ant-Man when they were in the quantum realm
Yeah.
and there was this city in this bubble and it looks a lot like Kang's city. So and now
Oh no, I missed that.
yeah, it's I think it's called Chronopolis, and so Kang's going to be officially introduced as the villain in Ant-Man and
Yes.
Wasp.
That's what I was
So,
looking
and they're
at.
going to be in the quantum realm. So, has he been hiding there? Because time moves differently in the quantum realm. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not part of the sacred timeline. It's totally different. So,
Man, this has, dude. We can talk
stuff.
we can talk all night on this because there's so much. I mean, seriously, this is, you can like really nerd out to the point where you're basically in the fetal position, saying Kang.
So
Kang,
okay, so
Kang.
here's another thing you can have here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because of the new multiverse.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing crap out now.
Oh, this
This
up
is
against the
this
wall,
is
so
so-
falls. Yeah, go
this
ahead.
is so
Do it.
ridiculous.
Just
so-
do it.
You can theoretically have
Yeah.
a Black Panther timeline where Black Panther is alive, but that's not the timeline we're going to see.
Interesting. Well, that's true.
You could theoretically have a timeline where Shuri was always the Black Panther.
Well, that's where I was
or
going to get
or
at.
or a timeline where his father is still the Black Panther and he never had a son.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could just pull out and just go, oh yeah, this is just a different timeline.
Ooh.
Just
I
gonna
mean,
go with
actually,
that.
and the reality, because of Bosman,
Yeah,
great actor, no longer with us. But I could see him. I could see Black Panther 2 passing the baton to her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because she's an awesome actress, and I
Mhm.
can see that happening.
And they can either give Boseman a memorial
Mhm.
movie,
Yeah, definitely.
or they can ignore it and say it's just this is a different timeline where Shuri becomes the Black Panther and there
Yeah.
never was the T'Challa.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going
I
to do
think
that or
I don't
not.
think it'll
I don't
fly
think
with
it will fly that way.
I don't think it will fly with viewers, but they can
No.
absolutely do it.
I mean, they could do that, but yeah, I doubt if they will. But I totally get what you're saying, and they can do that with other characters too. I mean, that's what the whole "what if" is, right?
Speaking
that's
of
what
Yes.
that whole thing is.
speaking of characters, something that crazy that I would love to see,
Yeah.
that I pay money to see, is a Hulk Thor.
Oh well, I mean,
Could you imagine?
That
I
could be
could-
fun.
that could be fun.
So speaking of Thor,
yes.
we've got Thor: Love and Thunder. So
Mhm.
comics, yeah, I know we're not going to talk about Natalie Portman.
No, I'm not listening. No.
So, but multiverse, you've got a Thor: Love and Thunder movie coming out.
Yes.
We can go comic canon and say Jane Foster picks up the hammer because she has cancer, and when she has the hammer, the cancer is held at bay. But when she puts the hammer down, the cancer takes over her body once more.
Right.
Or we can have just a different timeline where Thor was always a woman.
Well, yeah, I could do that. As long as it's not who I.
As long as it's Tessa Thompson.
Gotta be
Tessa Thompson.
Yeah,
yes.
it's gotta be
As
Val.
long as Tessa Thompson. I'm down for that. If it's Tessa Thompson, I'm on board.
Like Tessa, I don't know who your agent is, but you need a new one.
Yeah, you do.
So
I had that part.
Yeah,
okay,
that is
so
her part.
I'm gonna throw you out one more. So let's say you have a falling out with an actor or actress.
Yeah.
And you just replace them, and it's a different timeline. It's the same person, the same name, different actor. It's just a different timeline. What's this? Rob Moore. So Thor's hammer is the same as Deadpool's forced mutation.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That's the idea in the comics
exactly.
that she has cancer and that when she has the hammer, she doesn't. But I mean, we got Cassie Lang, who showed up physically in Endgame.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in the next Ant-Man movie, it's just going to be a different actress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They just absolutely replaced her.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to see her in a suit, actually suit up probably as Stature.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
just like Brie Larson.
Yeah, I think Young Avengers is coming. Don't you, Ricky?
Just like Brie Larson. I mean, all of a sudden
you could just replace her with somebody that people like.
People like.
Who would you replace her with?
I have no idea.
That's a good question.
You
I honestly
anybody
don't.
you would pick for that?
By the way, I am
Portman.
not a no. Oh my gosh. By the way, I am not a Brie Larson hater.
No,
I don't think she was great in the movie, but I'm so much more down on Natalie Portman.
Oh yeah, Natalie Portman. Yeah,
I'd rather have
Brie Larson.
I'd rather have Brie Larson than Natalie
Yeah,
Portman.
exactly. I don't think she. I mean, I think she did as good as she could for the part.
Yeah, I think it was written pretty wooden, and
think
she
that's
played
the
it pretty
problem.
wooden,
I mean,
and so it's not all her fault. But
no, it's not.
I think she probably could have.
Yeah.
I think she probably could have coaxed the writers and directors to let her put a little more personality into that.
I'm just not a fan with Padme with a hammer. I don't want that.
I would rather see Darcy pick up the hammer.
Oh, now that would be funny.
I would be so.
Can you
into
imagine
that.
the wit on her?
That would be funny.
That's
a
be
Tika
awesome.
Waititi movie waiting to happen right
Yeah,
there.
I know it is.
With
I know it
Deadpool
is.
and hold her own.
Did we talk about Deadpool last week?
A little bit.
Yes,
the
we did.
Deadpool.
We talked
okay.
a little bit about that.
All right. I'm not gonna rehash
Yeah,
what we
that
talked
was
about
really
last
good.
week.
Yeah.
But
Man,
hey, this allows us to bring Deadpool in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know.
He can be in his own timeline
Yes, he can.
and still be canon.
Exactly.
And
he
still
can
not have
cross-
the other X-Men in the movie.
Yes.
Exactly.
And you could just randomly cross him over if you wanted to, if and when
Exactly.
you want to.
Yeah.
That's right. The censored part of him. And
There's
if it's Disney.
Didn't you guys
the censored part.
didn't you guys comment about the Black Knight last show?
Just briefly.
Just
Black Knight
briefly.
is going to be in Eternals.
He's the person that defends the Avengers from Kang in the comic book series. He intervenes because Kang makes a wager with the game master that if he can beat the Avengers, that the game master will give him power over life and death, so he can bring Ravonna back to life.
Yeah, I remember.
But
I remember some of that story.
He only succeeds halfway, so he has to choose one or the other, and he chooses the power of death because he hates the Avengers that much.
Yeah,
and he's killing them, and the Black Knight isn't an Avenger yet, and he intercedes and prevents him from doing it. So more stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they just I mean, they opened the bottle, and they can do whatever they want to do now, and it's exciting now. And what if it's supposed to be coming out in August, right?
Is it August or 1st of September?
August.
I don't remember August. Okay.
Yeah.
19th, I'm thinking.
Yeah, August 19th. Now September is supposed to be Vision, the Star Wars Vision in September.
Okay. Hey, I just read this. Supposedly, Marvel is opening a small animation studio in order to create more animated shows like What
awesome.
If, which could mean we could have more things like we could see more animation like the Bad Batch for Marvel.
I think it will be better too, because the thing, I've always wondered, Marvel and DC, I always felt like DC had the best animation shows, and Marvel was just very lacking, even in the animation and the
okay
style. I mean, they were okay, but compared to DC, the animation, it just didn't hold a candle. But seeing some of the art direction that's going on with What If they continue that type of different animation and kind of, learn from Star Wars animation and stuff like that, I think it's going to be outstanding. I think, and I'm looking forward to Visions too. That's going to be really good Star Wars. But yeah, I can totally see that. And it's awesome that they're going to open up their animation studio because they're going to take it serious.
I just read that. I don't know all the veracity of that statement. So I can't say how accurate that is, but we still have a couple. It wasn't We've Got You Covered,
okay,
but it also wasn't Deadline, and it wasn't Hollywood Reporter.
Okay. Was awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't Emergency Awesome. However, I do believe Emergency Awesome is where I saw the guy say that What If will be canon, which I don't know that that's accurate, but it could be. They could do that. They could say, this is just part of the multiverse because of everything that happened, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it could.
The Watchers the Watchers actually have a job now because there's a multiverse. Before we had a multiverse, they didn't have much of a job.
No.
I think the perfect primer for the multiverse.
Yeah.
It gets everybody used to the idea of,
So we still do have 2 more live action Marvel shows that are slated for 2021.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think they have official release dates yet.
No.
We've got Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
And they both have been shooting. So hopefully we'll get some release dates. Hawkeye's supposed to be late 2021. Yeah. So what's that mean? November, December?
Ooh.
Probably so.
Hawkeye.
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna, but I'm just
because
gonna say
Mike hasn't seen Black Widow yet.
I haven't seen about that yet.
End credit scenes are back.
Oh.
You better watch them credits.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not my fault I haven't seen it yet. I want to pay for it, and I just want to watch it in my home. My wife wants to go to the movie theaters, so I told her, I said, well, let me watch it at home, and then we can both go to the movie theaters. No, we have to experience togetherness.
You'll catch Mike in the closet watching it on his phone.
Hey. And
what are you doing?
Then she'll wonder where the $30 came from. I'm going, oh man. I mean, I'll have to figure it out.
Do I need to pay $30, Mike?
I don't know, but geez, you know,
It'll be in ones.
It'll be in ones. Well, man, I think, I think, what do you? Oh man, oh, I have to get my pole out. What is? I gotta get my pole out.
Oh, and you gotta dress up like Deadpool.
I'm not saying
I don't fit
a thing.
in those. I don't fit in those Velcro pants anymore.
A thing.
Those Velcro pants just don't come off like they used to. You know, the pole's kind of rusty, so I have to put.
I think we need to end the show on that. This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Shelley.
And my good friend and fellow stripper, Mr. Ricky Poe. Oh, man. I was going to say thank you, Todd, for joining. Forget about that now. Thank you, Rob Moore, for joining us. Man, you guys are awesome. Don't forget, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. What are we gonna talk about?
I don't know what we're going to talk about. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know, but
we forgot to talk about YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
We have an actual readable YouTube link now. So if you want to check out previous episodes, go to youtube.com/speakingnerdy.
What was that?
That website again is youtube.com/speakingnerdy.
You did it.
And what do you get with that?
Fries.
Fries.
Okay. All right. Man.